Welcome to the West Wing Week, your guide to everything that's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This week, September 10th to the 16th, or back to school.
So far, so good? Not too bad? Not too much homework? No?
On a brisk Saturday morning, September 11th, the presidential motorcade traveled through Washington to Arlington, Virginia, where President Obama attended a wreath laying at the Pentagon 9/11 Memorial to mark the anniversary of the deadliest attack on American soil. He was accompanied by Admiral Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Secretary of Defense Robert Gates.
9 years have now passed. In that time, you have shed more tears than we will ever know. And though it must seem some days as though the world has moved on to other things, I say to you today that your loved ones endure in the heart of our nation, now and forever.
The president also visited Ron Brown Middle School in Washington, D.C. as part of the National Day of Service intended to honor the lives lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, man. Let's put me to work.
The project at Ron Brown Middle School was part of the Armed Service YMCA and included making quilts for children of deployed troops, as well as making improvements to the school building.
That wasn't me over there, man. I just want to be clear. I saw that right here.
Okay. That's a good answer.
I didn't want y'all thinking like you had to touch up on my work.
On Monday, September 13th, President Obama called A123 Systems of Livonia, Michigan, to congratulate them on opening the nation's first manufacturing facility to mass produce electric vehicle batteries, made possible by a Recovery Act grant.
It's going to allow us to start exporting those cars, making them comfortable, convenient, and affordable. It helps our manufacturing industry to thrive.
Later that afternoon, the president traveled to Fairfax, Virginia, to visit the home of a local family and talk about the challenges they face in this difficult economy.
It's a great way for me to just have a nice conversation with people without, sort of the usual formalities.
The president then hosted a discussion in the backyard with local folks in the neighborhood, including some small business owners.
This is actually pending right now in the Senate, the United States Senate, because Jerry and Jim have already voted on it, is a small business package that would eliminate capital gains taxes for small businesses, would help small businesses obtain loans. It is a common sense bill that traditionally would have garnered a lot of bipartisan support, but we're in the political silly season right now, so it's been blocked up by the Senate Republicans for the last month and a half, 2 months.
On Tuesday, September 14th, the President and Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, went to Philadelphia for the President's second annual back-to-school speech.
Right? Yeah, I'm doing fun. Thanks for doing this. Absolutely, I love doing this.
They visited the Julia R. Masterman Laboratory and Demonstration School, where the President spoke directly to students across America.
The farther you go in school, the farther you're going to go in life. And at a time when other countries are competing with us like never before, when students around the world, in Beijing, China, or Bangalore, India, are working harder than ever and doing better than ever, your success in school is not just going to determine your success, it's going to determine America's success in the 21st century.
On Wednesday, President Obama spent a perfectly nice day indoors, holding a series of meetings, including one with General Ray Odierno, who had just returned to the U.S. after transferring command to General Lloyd Austin to coincide with the change of mission in Iraq.
Hey, General.
Mr. President, good to see you. Welcome.
The president also held a cabinet meeting focused on the economy. Following the meeting, the president spoke to reporters about the upcoming small business jobs bill vote and Republican obstruction of middle-class tax relief.
Middle-class families need this relief. These are the Americans who saw their wages and incomes flatline over the last decade, who've seen the costs of everything from health care to college tuition skyrocket, and who have been hardest hit by this recession. And if the other party continues to hold these tax cuts hostage, these are the same families who will suffer the most when their taxes go up next year.
On Thursday, September 16th, the president discussed proposals to increase our global competitiveness and jumpstart the economy. First, holding a meeting with his export council in the East Room, and second, by announcing the launch of Change the Equation, a CEO-led effort to improve education in science, technology, engineering, and math, and ensure our children have the tools they need to compete in the global economy.
Everybody in this room understands that our nation's success depends on strengthening America's role as the world's engine of discovery and innovation.
To find out more information on any of these topics or see complete videos of these events, go to whitehouse.gov. And thanks again for checking out your West Wing Week.
Who do you want to call?
I'm going to call my mom's cell.
Let's see if she picks up.
Does she pick up?
Is it ringing?
It just says call message. Have a message.
Leave a message. Leave a message.
Hi, Mom. Mr. President's called. So, call me. It's really cool. So.
All right, bye. All right.